Jack LeSueur. I am the director and curator here at the Downing Museum, and I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite pieces of art. It's our largest piece of art in the museum, and it's actually one of the reasons why we have the museum. So this is what we call the Doors of Life, and it is an installation. You can see that there are three components to it. We have the actual doors, which are 18th century barn doors. And then in the middle, there is a leather on wood piece. The leather pieces are painted and attached to the wood. And then above that, you can see up here, we have a wheelbarrow wheel. Try to get a better shot of that. So the wheelbarrow wheel was added after Joe had come and actually seen this installation in place. He thought that the installation needed a chandelier, and so that was his response to creating a chandelier. Now let's get a little closer here and look at some of the interesting things on the doors. So for many years, Downing referred to these as Isidore's doors, and there's a reason for that. That's because the original owner was named Isidore, and this is going to be very hard to see, but if you look kind of in that white area right there, you will see the name Isidore. Now it's upside down, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but we're going to go down to here first and look at that. You can see kind of some carving there, and that is an upside down, again, date of 1828. So we know originally these doors were used by a man named Isidore, and he was writing his name on them in 1828. Downing said himself that he thought that they were late 18th century because of the hardware that is used on them. Let's find you some hardware here. So you can see some of the ironwork, really old looking, antiquated. And this is actually a big, long piece of metal that would have been used to hold the door shut. You can see that's kind of the locking mechanism. Now, interesting fact, we've had to do a little bit of repair on these. You can see the brackets there, hinges that are holding this small kind of auxiliary door on. The top one, after we had a fire in 2013 and they had been kind of moved around, that piece was so fragile it was actually coming out, and our fears were that it was going to fall and hit somebody in the head. So if you look, you can see that there's one bolt that's a little bit different right here, second from the end. That was actually manufactured by a local blacksmith who did some work for us on these to help kind of secure them up. But they really are a beautiful piece of artwork. A lot of people like to look at them and try to tease out different images from the shapes and colors that they see. Joe didn't particularly love it when people did this, but I'm going to show you some of my favorites just because why not? So here we have what I like to call a big cat. You can kind of see the two ears and little cat face and then a tail over here. It's very interesting to kind of look closely at his shapes and see how he often let the natural form that he was working with kind of mandate the shape and maybe even the color. I like to call these mushrooms. See, it looks like a little mushroom, sort of. Lots of beautiful work on this. This is one of Downing's favorite pieces of work. He purchased these in the early 1980s, and they actually sat in his garden for a number of years. And his reason for that was because they were so beautiful, he didn't think they needed to be painted. I think that looks like a little hand reaching up. And so around the early 90s, unfortunately, Joe had a heart attack. And as part of his recovery, he decided, I'm going to tackle the doors. So he began painting on them. It took him a couple of years. He actually painted them outside in his garden, which is where they had sat for about 11 years. And so as part of his therapy, he worked on painting these two pieces, and for that reason he called them Les Portes de la Vie, which is the doors of life. And coincidentally, this room that we're in, which was the first part of the museum to be constructed, was originally known as Les Portes de la Vie, or, I'm sorry, Le Pavilion de la Porte de la Vie, which means the pavilion of the doors, or the house of doors is what we typically call it. And he called them the doors of life for the reason that they were part of his therapy. The effect that Downing hoped to achieve here was that of a giant dragonfly. So when you look at this, you can just imagine that these could almost move and fly away. And I think that's another reason why he wanted them displayed as they are, rather than flat or flush with one another, because the slant gives the illusion of flapping wings. All right, thanks for checking in and watching my short video. We have some more things coming up this week that are really exciting, with hopefully some guest artists. So stay in touch, and we hope you are enjoying our virtual museum. Stay safe and stay healthy.